It's your boy Crypto Blood. What's going on, people? I am back in the D, back home. This video is just going to be really kind of an overview of my whole trip down to Miami for the North American Bitcoin Conference. That was my first Bitcoin conference since getting into the space. Really had no reason to go to one in the past, but since I have this YouTube channel, I thought I would get out, network, get a chance to meet some people, show my face, and again, ultimately just to network and get a feel for the community live and direct. So that's what I did. So I had a good time. I'm smoking today a new Monte Cristo. It's an Epic, part of the Epic line. I've never had this one. I saw this in the humidor today, so I decided I would try it out. I like torpedoes because when I do the V cuts, I always use my V cuts. They really they cut them really nicely. Look at that. Love that. But anyway, today's video is just gonna kind of go through my experience with the whole conference, my thoughts about it, thoughts about the different speakers and panels they had, and just that, man. It won't be anything pertaining directly to crypto market today. We'll get back into the swing of things tomorrow, basically. But yeah, so day one, they had a party. They had a night party at the Clevelander down in Miami Beach. And for those who know me, I'm not a party type of person, so I don't know, I just probably been scarred from so many bad things that happened at parties in the past. I don't really do parties like that, but this crowd was cool. It wasn't too bad. I didn't know anyone there, so it was a little awkward at first, but I ended up bumping into a guy that was from Miami, and can't remember what line of business he was in, but he was fairly new into the crypto game. He was very excited, so I was just explaining different things to him about, he was wondering where the price was going to go and so on and so forth. So we had a good conversation for about 40 minutes. Then I made my way around and met some other people. One gentleman, a young cat, he had just gotten into crypto maybe about a year and a half or two ago, and he had made over $200,000 in cryptos. So I was talking to him. He's from Ohio, I believe. So I was kicking it with him. Then I met a guy from South Dakota, I believe, kicking it with him. Just meeting people, man. It's beautiful to see. Like with crypto, not cryptos, but with cigars, like what I like about the cigar, if you want to call it a fraternity, but individuals that are in cigars, it brings people from all colors, all races, all walks of life together, and the commonality between all of us is a cigar. That's what we meet and can be on the same page about. Same thing goes with cryptos, and it's just beautiful to see that type of community being built. You know what I mean? So it was good. It was cool. I didn't stay too long. I stayed maybe about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I was kind of tired. And I left out of there, and I actually ended up just missing Max Kaiser at the event. I did see the Dash tour bus pull up, and they were throwing shirts out and stuff, but I didn't get a chance to catch up with Max. But stay tuned. In this video later on, I'll explain that whole story. I did end up meeting up with Max. I'll go through that. as well. So day 2, that was pretty much day 1. It was just a kickoff party. I ended up leaving there, going to get some food. Oh, I did a Jeff Burek out, being on not on really vacation, but being out of the state, being out of town. I ended up cheating, people. I had some chicken, people. I cheated. I did. And the cheat was well worth it. Let me just put it to you that way. Went to a place called Yardbird down in Miami Beach. Check it out if you guys are down there. And for those who have been there, make sure you drop a line in the comment of this video. Yardbird was phenomenal. Me and the wife, we're foodies. We love good food. And that was the spot we went to. Probably the best chicken I've had. I had some chicken. We had this macaroni and a skillet baked cornbread that was just phenomenal. It was all very, very good. So shout outs to Yardbird down in Miami Beach. That was dope. So I did cheat like Jeff Burek. I left the city and lost my mind. So I did have some chicken, and it was tasty as hell. Me and the wife. Anyway, so day 2 was the first day of the actual conference. So they call it day 1. But day 2, in my book, day 2, I went around, went to all the booths they had in the convention hall. It was cool. I didn't really, again, know anyone. I did run into, I saw that Central had a booth, so I was over there talking to them. And then Rob, or they call him Bob, I think Bob, or I call him Robert, but Rob, he, one of the founders of Central, I got a chance to catch up with him. Didn't get a chance to catch up with Sam, but me and Rob talked for a little bit. Real cool cat. And it was good to, finally meet him in person. So he showed me a dope card, people. I'm not gonna go into detail, but this card he had, this Central card, was so dope. I wish I had one of those. So talked with him, talked about Central a little bit, their plans. They got some big things coming down the pipeline. And met their lawyer. He was real cool. So I kicked it with them for a while. Again, I'm a social person, but if I'm in a room full of people I don't know, then it's gonna be a little awkward. So I tend to gravitate toward people that I either have met or had previous relationships with. So I just hung around the Central booth for a good 30 minutes or so. And yeah, so I did that. The first day, I think there were a whole bunch of talks. I didn't stay in all of them. The actual auditorium upstairs, I didn't get in there and see all of them. I just peeked in to see the ones that I was pretty much that piqued my interest the most. So one of them was a panel on regulation. There was a bunch of lawyers that were in the crypto space. They were talking about regulation, and this is going to happen, and more regulation is going to come down, and just about being compliant and warning to a lot of ICOs on how they're structuring their ICOs and stuff. Just kind of telling them you really need to be careful how you do things. And I agree, you do. And I've told you guys before, like, a lot of these ICOs really are just securities. You know, they're just issuing securities. I know it's masked with a utility for these tokens, but it's got, you know, I saw this coming last year when I started to sit down and think, like, wait a minute, like, basically after the ruling that the SEC came out with, and I'm like, yo, this is going to be 2018. They're really going to start really clamping down on regulation, I think, and really looking at these ICOs as security raises, or, you know, issuance of a security, in my opinion. So I think that's what's going to happen, and that's what that's actually what the panel was saying. They really feel like that's what's coming, more regulation on that end. And they were talking about how, you know, years ago it wasn't so much SEC that was, you know, that we worried about, and how that has evolved into more of the SEC getting their hands involved. And I just think, man, Jeff Berwick talked about this, and I'll get to him. He ended the conference, and what a way to end a Bitcoin / crypto conference. But Jeff Berwick said it best, like, a lot of people who are in the space now don't realize why people like me, people like Jeff Berwick, why we even were intrigued and interested, and why this piqued our interest in the first place. It was to get away from their system. It wasn't to conform to, or allow them to come in and conform and mold this space. Like, no, that we were getting away from regulation. We wanted to get away from manipulation, regulatory groups, additional just excess rent-seeking behavior that regulatory agencies and governments have, you know, over everything. So I just feel like we're tailoring, and probably it's because a lot of the people from those spaces are coming into this space, seeing the opportunity that's at hand for them to make millions and millions of dollars. So I just think we need to just keep that in the back of our mind. This was not for regulation, and it won't work. It will fail. For the most part, a lot of this regulation will fail. But so yeah, that was the panel. But then later we had Jeff Tucker. I love Jeff Tucker. I did a live stream of Jeff Tucker's talk. You guys can hit my YouTube channel to check that out. I've been a fan of Jeff Tucker, or I should say Jeffrey Tucker, for quite some time. I believe Max Kaiser used to have him on his show, I believe. But what really got me into Jeff Tucker, or Jeffrey Tucker, was when Jeff Berwick started really having him on and stuff. So Jeff Tucker, loved him. He had a great speech. I think it was on, let me see what Jeff talked about. I can't remember right now. Jeff talked about, let me see. It doesn't say what he talked about. I can't remember offhand what exactly he talked about. But he's a smart guy, man, and I think he has a right. He has a pretty good view on cryptocurrencies, I believe. So he's definitely, if you guys want to learn more from an economic theory, Austrian kind of, you know, that whole more technical side of the approach to cryptos, check out Jeff Tucker. Another person, Patrick Byron, he's the CEO of Overstock. I wanted to see him as well because I'm a fan of his work, and he's a pioneer actually in the crypto game. I remember when I got into cryptos late 2012, it wasn't shortly after that that Patrick Byron, it wasn't shortly after that he actually made a bold move and started accepting Bitcoin from Overstock on Overstock's website. That was a huge move because I think that was the first big company to actually accept Bitcoin. So he's a person, a pioneer, and he thinks well ahead. I didn't know he was that heavily had such a heavy economic background, economic background. So that was cool. That makes sense though, that he was able to jump on, the Bitcoin bandwagon fairly early in the game because he understood overall what's wrong with our current monetary system. So he taught me something about Austrian economics, that it really started in Spain, like the border of Spain or something, he was saying. And it was these group of people over there that believed in sound money, and they practiced that, and it was kind of in that area for a long time before it spread outwardly to other areas in Western in Europe, really. So that was cool to learn that. He did a very good job. He's also the CEO of T0. Kind of gave a little pitch on that really quickly. But he was just talking about how Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will be used to really bring a lot of the lower middle class and poor people, bring the playing field, level it a little bit for those individuals, and how that can happen. And I agree. I think it really will. So it was good to see him in action. And then lastly, that day, so after that that speech from the CEO of Overstock, I went downstairs back to the convention hall area, and I was walking around, made my circles again through the convention hall, and then I got a tap on my back. And guy was like, turned around, was like, "Hey, you got a YouTube channel, don't you?" And I started laughing. I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You Crypto Blood?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am Crypto Blood." That was weird first, because I've never had anyone walk up to me and say, "I know you from, your YouTube channel." So that was the first. So Chet, London, you're the first to do that. Thank you. But again, that was pretty weird. So we ended up going back to the table, talking for almost an hour. Just, he was picking my brain. I was asking him things and whatnot. So then we're sitting there, and he notices Reggie Middleton walk in. So, what a surprise. So Reggie walked in. We were talking with Reggie for a good 25 minutes. It was hilarious, talking about various things. And yeah, I was excited to finally meet Reggie. And we talked about Uncle Cliff. And he was like, I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "Uncle Cliff really loves your, of course, because the guy, Chet, he was saying he hadn't seen any interviews of Reggie. And he was like, "Yeah, Uncle Cliff interviewed me." Because the guy was saying, Chet was saying, there was a lot of FUD surrounding Veritasium. And I was like, "Yeah, Uncle Cliff interviewed Reggie." And he was like, "Yeah, Uncle Cliff, I did do an interview. You got to check it out." And Reggie was like, "Yeah, Uncle Cliff, that name really fits. Like, he does seem like an uncle." I was like, "Absolutely." That's why I said that. That's why I coined him Uncle Cliff, because he's like that wise uncle that you got in your family, right? So that was good seeing Reggie. And from there, I kind of just wrapped up the day. Me and the wife went out, ate good again. We didn't cheat this time, so I just, we kept it strictly fish and what do you call it, pescatarian diet. So I didn't cheat on day 2. Day 3 was epic, people. Day 3 was epic because I got a chance to watch Stacy Herbert and Charlie Shrim do their little fireside chat. And that was awesome, man. That brought back memories, because I remember when Charlie Shrim, that's how I got into Bitcoin. That was my on-ramp was through BitInstant to purchase on Mt. Gox. And I remember those days, man. I used to, like I've told you guys in the past, maybe any of you who are new to my channel, I would go to CVS, send a MoneyGram order over to BitInstant, and then once they got it, they would process it and credit me on Mt. Gox. And so it was cool going to see him in person, because that's who I used to deal with, not directly but through his company. It was cool to see him on stage, and he was saying that when he first started out with BitInstant, it was in his mom's basement. And I was like, wow, that makes sense, because the one time I had to call his support line, and the voicemail that was the pre-recording for the voicemail sounded like it was like just a regular voicemail, machine in someone's home. You know what I mean? It was pretty interesting. So it was cool to see him. Also, it was cool to see Jeff Burek. That was epic. And the Jeff Burek talk actually was the icing on the cake, because like I said earlier, you guys got to understand, this is not inviting. We shouldn't be inviting governmental regulatory agencies around the world into this space like that. We've got to reprogram our minds to not think that having regulation is validating a certain asset or financial instrument. I know that allows for more money to come into the space and the market cap to explode, but I think we're starting to get away from the whole reason for cryptocurrencies, the whole reason for Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper on Bitcoin. It wasn't any inclusive thing with the regulatory agencies. It was an exclusive. It was to exclude them, to have a peer-to-peer, instant, almost zero cost, or what you want to call frictionless type of money. That's what it was about. It wasn't to include them. So I hope that Jeff Burek, being the last person there, the hall wasn't, the auditorium wasn't packed, unfortunately, because it was the last speaker. But Jeff Burek was at first very melancholy about him being there. And when he got on stage, he was real, like, you know how Jeff get people. He's like, I was really depressed when I'm like, oh man, come on, Jeff, not this again. But it was the best. It was the best talk, in my opinion, of the conference. Definitely was the best to me that I saw. I can only speak on what I saw, but it really brought home again that we gotta, I think we're getting away from the idea of cryptocurrencies. A lot of new people in the last year and a half, they're getting into it, not because of the ideology of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, etc. They're getting into it to make a gain, to make a profit. And profit is good. You know, even Jeff Berg was like, yeah, you know, profit is good, but in doing so, in looking for profit, I think we really lose focus and allow what is happening, which is regulation. We're allowing regulation to and the governments around the world to come in, because we're looking for more value. We're looking for higher valuation and more money to be able to come into the space. And the only way to do that is to allow those legacy on ramps to cryptos to be open. Those legacy monetary systems, the banking systems, all that. We're sacrificing freedom for more money, for a higher market cap. So I just feel like, man, I'm like I was about ready to go up there and give Reverend Birick a tip. I was looking for the offering plate to be passed around, man, because Pastor Birick was talking. Let me tell you, he was preaching, people. He was preaching. And I hope that for the people that were there, don't know how much of a change his talk made, but maybe, you know, all you needed are those seeds to be planted, and hopefully that will change something for the better in the future. But that was probably my highlight for day 3. We saw in the hallway, I saw Tia Lopez, I believe his name is. I don't follow him, but he's huge. I know he's huge. I don't follow him, never have, but I do follow a buddy of his, Grant Cardone. That's who I follow. I follow him on the real estate tip, because I'm, you know, into real estate, investing, and all that good stuff. Like, so I really follow a lot of the philosophies that are taught and preached by Grant Cardone. So it was we saw him walking through, and man, he had a bodyguard that was looked like my man from the Green Mile. This guy was this big black dude, just like, wow. I guess you need that, you know. It's crazy people out here. But so that was that. Then I ran into Reggie again. That after Jeff Birick's talk, I ran into Reggie and found out that he was doing a demo of his platform later on that night at his hotel. So I'm like, cool, I'll come by for sure. So ended up going over there. I guess he put out a tweet or something. I don't know. I didn't see the tweet, but my man Flacco, El Flacco from the Webbot chat room, and this other guy, I keep forgetting his name, but he also, no, it's not Jeff. I'm so sorry for forgetting your name. I didn't know the guy was the same person from the Webbot room. He was asking if I was going over to see Reggie as well. I'm like, yeah, I'll meet you guys over there. So Flacco and him, they came over. Matter of fact, I'm gonna find out his name, because this is wrong. I don't want to do this. Hold on. So it was Carl from the Webbot room. Sorry, man. I don't know why I was forgetting your name, but Carl, El Flacco, they met me over at the hotel, at Reggie's hotel, and we went up, and bam, we had I held the camera for you guys for 2 hours. My back was blew out. My back hurt so bad from holding that darn camera for 2 hours, but I didn't want to miss a thing, so I live streamed that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And yes, that wine, we call them, you guys, I could see your comments while live streaming. I could see that, but I couldn't respond because I was holding the phone, and I was trying to respond, but I couldn't respond from the phone for some reason. So I saw your comments. You guys were really pissed off at that. You guys called him the wine guy. The wine guy was very annoying. At first it was cool, in my opinion. You know, he was challenging Reggie, and you guys know I'm all about having a debate, challenging people, getting the real answers. I could tell the guy, he's from finance. I think buy side, I believe. I'm not sure. I don't know what area in finance he's in, but he was asking the tough questions, and Reggie was firing right back at him. He was firing right back at him, answering the questions. But after a while, you could it's like, dude, we understand, you know what you're talking about, but Reggie is answering your questions. You could tell after a while, it was like, dude, shut the hell up. Like, I wanted to say that, but I didn't. I just said, I was there just to record. I wasn't there to be confrontational. But all in all, he took up a lot of, let's say, maybe the first half of the live stream. And then Reggie kind of went over demoing the actual platform. And it was a good time, man. Just see him in action. He's a very confident guy, and I think people take it as him being, what's the word? As being cocky. And I don't think he's cocky. I think he's just very confident in what he does and what he knows. So that was that epic night, definitely. Oh, how can I forget? Met up with this is crazy. I don't know how I forgot this, but I met up with Max Kaiser, my man Max Kaiser, the great Kaiser, and Stacy Herbert. Oh my God, got a chance to kick it with them. This was before actually I went out to Reggie's spot to do an interview with him. So I was talking to Max, and good to catch up with them. And stay tuned when it comes to Max Kaiser and Crypto Blood. Just, that's all I gotta say. So that was it, man. Day 3 was epic and turned out to be well worth it. I didn't want to go see any of the ICO pitches except one. I did see one, a blockchain Bitcoin Academy, which I thought was actually a good idea. Let me see if I can find that one. Jason King from Academy, Blockchain Academy. That was a good one, because what he's doing is he has a token, but this token is going to be used to incentivize the student. So you get paid in tokens for your performance. This has been shown in preschool, early stage learning and development in classrooms. There have been experiments done, I believe in Chicago, in other cities as well, where they pay the students for performance. That is definitely the way to go in the future for education, in my opinion. This will help people be more motivated to learn. If you're not motivated, on your own to learn, and actually I think it will help people retain more information, because it's almost like you don't go to work and work for free, right? You work and you perform because you know at the end of the day, you will be paid weekly, bi-weekly, whatever the case is, for your work and your performance. So why isn't that being done likewise in the education system? So I think that was the only one I really saw, and I thought that had some legs, some promise. I don't know exactly the actual name of the token, but you guys can go to the North American Bitcoin Conference website and find that particular company. But that was it, man. Saturday, I kind of just chilled out. We just went around the city, Miami Beach and North Miami and all that. Got some good coffee, one of the best coffee I've ever had, and Seattle has some good coffee. Panther Coffee out in Miami, very good coffee. And that was it, man. That was good. Glad I went out there, and I'll be looking for other ones to attend later this year. You have to be careful with conferences, because you know, a lot of these conferences are bull. They ain't about nothing. They just doing a conference just to be, you know, because this is the wave. You know, cryptocurrencies is the new wave. If you're in crypto, you're cool, you're hip. You got a lot of people out here think they're acting like they're experts in the game, and only been in cryptos for a year. Though a year in this space is very long time, it still isn't. Some people out here are acting as though they are just the authority on crypto, and it just cracks me up. So it was good to see people at this conference that have been in the game for 3, 4, 5, even longer, 6 years, that can bring insight. Because you got to understand, the further back you go as far as a person who got into cryptocurrencies, the further back that person goes, or the further back they got into cryptos, lets you know their understanding of why cryptos are important. So what I mean by that is, the people who got into cryptos year 1, year 2, really probably have a core understanding of what was wrong with our existing monetary system. So as you go further out, though, away from, you know, that Genesis block, further you go out, you'll start to get people who didn't understand. They're becoming awakened now, maybe, or maybe not. I think a lot of the people that are getting into the space still don't understand the actual need for it. Maybe they understand the need for blockchain. You know, the Bitcoin is two. Bitcoin is like 2 in 1. Bitcoin is the currency, but it's also Bitcoin, the blockchain. And so I think a lot of people nowadays are either they're getting into it for the blockchain, which is definitely revolutionary for sure. But at the same token, I think a lot of people are getting into Bitcoin for the currency portion, but more so for the price of it. The allure of making tons of money, becoming wealthy, just buying cryptocurrencies and not understanding the whole reason for buying it. So that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to tell you guys. Do a recap. I know it was pretty long, but hey, I had to go over everything. And Sunday, fun day. You guys enjoy it. It's your boy Crypto Blood. I'm out. Holla. Boom.